What is up, everybody? How we doing tonight? You guys ready to get this thing kicked off? A special guest with us. I'm gonna get him on here real quick. Let's see. Boom! Right there we go. All right. Let's see who all we got in here before we get into the thick of it. Brandon's in here. Oscar's in here. Thomas, Jessica, Desert Fox. We got some people in here. We got 20 of y'all in here already. Heck yeah, that's exciting. Well, let me introduce my guest a little bit, and then I'm going to let him tell a little bit more about himself. If you guys do not know who he is the president of the Frankfurt Bourbon Society, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Amsey. Give him a round of applause, man. I'm so excited to be on here with you, man. This is an honor. I appreciate you being on here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be on here today.
Heck yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, because a lot of people don't know who you are, and some of us who are in the know. And I'm personally am a fan because I hear on the streets that you've got a heck of a palate, and you've picked some incredible single barrels that we're going to get to taste.
Yeah, so my name's Amsey Winning. Live here in Frankfort, Kentucky. Moved here about 15 years ago from Indiana, and I don't know. I probably had one of those experiences with bourbon in my youth, and I didn't drink bourbon too much anymore. And I stopped at Buffalo Trace. Was very different back then. Very small gift shop. And I think maybe I was picking up some bourbon cream or something like that. At the time, you could only buy it at the gift shop. And there was maybe one other visitor and myself in there talking to the lady. And they were talking about stuff. And I somehow mentioned scotch and that I like to drink scotch. And she said, I think it tastes like dirt. And I was like, okay, I got to start drinking bourbon again to fit in down here. Uh, so yeah, I kind of jumped in with both feet. If anybody happens to be over for Bourbon on the Banks, there's a neat little bar downtown called Capitol Cellars. It's like a little wine whiskey bar, and my wife and I started going there. And they usually had, really nice pours behind the bar. Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. May have been $18 a pour, $20 a pour, or something like that. Um, and I don't know, just kind of got into bourbon, and then actually through Capitol Cellars, and the former owner, Rachel Peak. Um, she had a bourbon club, and so you could sign up and get this monthly allocation of bourbon. It was whatever she got, probably just helped her get some other allocated stuff. And through that is how the Frankfurt Bourbon Society was started back in 2017. um, and then the Frankfurt Bourbon Society has been involved with Bourbon on the Banks from the beginning. So we are separate entities, but there's a lot of overlap. Um, it was actually originally started by some people at Kentucky State University. And the university kind of, now they have a fermentation and distillation program. But at the time, they weren't sure that they wanted to be involved with a bourbon festival. And so they didn't want to do it, but really the groundwork had already been laid. And so Frankfurt Bourbon Society took it over briefly, just until the new 501(c)(3) could be started. Um, and so this year will be the sixth year of the Bourbon on the Banks Festival. So we started in 2019, of course, didn't have the festival in 2020. So last year was actually our fifth year. So
That's awesome. This year's supposed to be probably the biggest one. I keep looking at the list of people that's showing up. The list is massive. How many vendors? There's like 80 or something like that. There's so many.
yeah, I think maybe pushing 90 now.
Holy moly.
And so I mean, I think we have almost 90 distilleries.
Holy crap.
And of course we'll have, a lot of craft distillers
Hmm.
there. And so it won't just be bourbon. Of course, there'll be
Yeah.
rye whiskey,
A little
probably
bit of
some malt
everything.
whiskey. Yeah, people will have gin, vodka, absinthe, all kinds of things. We'll have a few breweries and wineries there, which is kind of nice, if maybe you've convinced somebody to come with you and they're not a huge fan of distilled spirits.
Yeah.
There are some other options. There will be food trucks there. There will be bourbon themed vendors. I think one thing that's kind of nice and keeps it from turning into a flea market or something. We only allow one vendor you know, per product. So maybe one person making bourbon furniture, one person doing bourbon themed candles,
That's smart.
one person with bourbon themed glassware or something like that.
Yeah, that way you're not walking through there and there's not 25 people doing the exact same thing, and the
Yeah.
only thing you're doing is negotiating price from place to place. That's
Yeah.
that's a great idea. I love it. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, one thing I will say is that so the festival is growing as far as vendors, but we limit the number of tickets we sell. We
Right.
don't want people to go there, stand in line all day, have it just be way too crowded, and
Yes. We've
people leave with a
experienced that.
yeah. And so, um, yeah, so the first few years we kind of increased the number of tickets we sold until we got to what we thought was the right number, and we've pretty
Yeah.
much stayed there. Now, one thing we do is we do have some early admission tickets. We have the regular general admission. So I think early starts at 1 o'clock. Regular admission is 2 o'clock. Then we also sell some twilight tickets to get people in the last 2 hours,
Mhm.
because some of the people get there and don't stay the whole time, and so it kind of
Right.
opens up a little more.
Wasn't
Um,
there also like some designated driver tickets or
mhm.
something that I saw? I don't think that's the only event I've ever seen that offers that. That's amazing.
Yeah, we do that, and it's the wristband will be different so that
Yeah.
you won't get served alcohol. But that also makes sense. You have a
Yeah.
friend or someone who doesn't really care about drinking, and then also helps everyone just be a little bit safer that way.
Well, it also shows the commitment that you guys have to the community to show like you're keeping up safe drinking practices.
Yeah,
And then a lot of events, you show up and even if you're a non-drinker, you're going to pay full price, and that discourages people from even showing up. Maybe you
yeah,
just want to go for the furniture or the
yeah,
the food trucks or something. You don't want to go there for the alcohol. This gives you that opportunity to show up for those things.
yep, yeah. That's exactly it. And honestly, the so if you said you've never been, this will be your first time,
Right.
and for anyone who's never been, it is really the setting there is beautiful. So it's in Riverview Park. That's downtown Frankfurt. It is just right upstream from Buffalo Trace Distillery, um, and it is between the Kentucky River and the flood wall. And so it's this long meandering trail. The distilleries and vendors will be set up in tents on both sides of it, and so it's a really cool, pleasant, beautiful experience.
I'm excited. I got an Airbnb in walking distance. I'm just
Hmm.
going to be trotting around town checking it out. And there's so many different events going on that like correspond with it. I see that there's
Hmm.
like the pub crawl that's was that Four Roses that's doing that.
Hmm.
Is it just inspired cocktails by Four Roses, or what is exactly they're going to do that?
Well, and so yeah, it is the Four Roses pub stroll, and that will go Thursday through Saturday.
Oh,
Um, and so at the various establishments, the cocktail you try there will be made with Four Roses.
okay.
Um, and so each place is going to have its own cocktail that it wants to do.
Yeah.
Um, you'll get a little card at the first one you go to, and you get
Mhm.
so many stamps or get it signed off so many times. Then I think you scan the QR code. You enter a drawing for a chance to win 2 tickets to Bourbon on the Banks next year.
Oh, I didn't even
Um,
know that. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. And so yeah, that's Thursday through Saturday. Thursday during the day, I believe it's sold out. There's a mixology on the river. Heather
Mhm.
Wibbles is doing that. That's sponsored by OH Ingram, River
Mhm.
Aged Whiskeys.
Yeah.
Then that evening, from about 6 to 9 p.m. at Whiskey Thief Distillery is the we call the Thursday night kickoff event. If you've never been to Whiskey Thief, I decided to rep them tonight.
Heck yeah.
Um, it is such a cool place to visit. Um, they were one of the first ones where when you went there, your samples were thieved straight out of the barrel.
Mhm.
They finish off a barrel, they roll that out, they roll a new barrel in. You're right there next to the still, the fermenters. They'll have a fire pit going. They've
I'm
got a
going for
food
the
truck.
goats. I'm
Yeah, you're
going for the
right.
goats. If
Yeah,
people don't know, there's goats there, okay?
yeah.
And they're it's so cool. If you just need to go for the goats, don't
Hmm.
worry about the whiskey, go for the
Hmm.
goats, okay? It's every
Well,
bit of fun.
I will say, and then the owner, Walter Zausch, he has a lot of good musical contacts, and so
Oh,
I don't recall what the band will be, but there'll be a live band out there playing
mhm,
Thursday night. Um, yeah, for those who don't know, the goats, the way that happened was, they opened a new place in Louisville too, in what's called New Louisville,
Yep.
and it is on Nanny Goat Strut Alley.
Yep.
And so they decided to really lean into that. They have some goats that make appearances up there, but other than that, they live down at the farm distillery. So,
Yeah.
but no, always a great time at Whiskey Thief. So go to that Thursday evening.
Mhm.
Friday, I believe there are still some tickets available. There's a food pairing with Peggy No Stevens. That'll be at the History Center downtown.
Mhm.
Food provided by Lime Water, which is a great restaurant here in
Yeah.
Frankfurt. Then that evening, so that's 1 to 2, 2:30, something like that. That evening, from about 5 to 8, is the VIP reception and rare bourbon auction. The theme this year will be women in bourbon. But so it's more limited in attendance. Maybe 150, 200 tickets sold.
Right.
So you get a little more interaction with some, maybe a few more distinguished guests from some of the distilleries.
Yeah.
Um, Now, while that's going on, there's also what's called Bourbon Street on Broadway. That is a family friendly event with street performers, food trucks, musicians, people that are fire breathing and all that kind of stuff.
That'll be cool.
So you can kind of engage in some of that if you want. Also, while you're doing the pub stroll. So Frankfurt does have an entertainment district, so you can actually get to-go cups
Oh,
from
sweet.
the bars within the entertainment district. And then Saturday, something else that's new is there's a brunch. Two different new restaurants at some new boutique hotels in Frankfurt. The Ashbrook. Um, the restaurant's called the Ashbrook. It's at the Ashbrook Hotel.
Okay.
And then Cypress and Oak at the Delegate Hotel.
Mm.
They are both going to have brunch going from about 10 to 2. And then after that, head over to Bourbon on the Banks Festival.
That's going to be awesome. So, talking about the VIP event and then the other event, are they running simultaneously at the same time? If we're at the VIP event, will we still be able to have time to go to the other one, or are they going to end simultaneously?
Yeah, so they do not end simultaneously. So usually I leave the VIP Rare
Okay.
Bourbon auction event, go out and catch
Yeah.
some of the Bourbon Street on Broadway. It's one of those things doesn't really have a kind of a set beginning or end kind of,
Right. Okay.
and just the performers are going on the whole time. Like I said, probably when I leave the VIP event, I'll go meet my wife and daughter and see them for a little bit
Oh yeah, I
this week
definitely want to
actually.
walk up and down the street and check everything out.
Mhm.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. But let's talk about some of these single barrels. I posted the list in my private group, and then everybody's been talking about some. Apparently, the word is you picked a couple that are just ridiculously lights out this year. Do you
Mhm.
want to talk about some of those?
Yeah, so I really, big fan of all of them. So this year we will have, I'm looking at the list myself, 12 different single barrels.
Mm.
And I'll run down the list real quick. So Angel's Envy, it's a bourbon finished in a port barrel. Really, really good. First time I had actually been to Angel's Envy, I'd had their product many times, but really neat distillery. Bespoken Spirits.
Yeah.
They're somewhat newer. They're in Lexington, and they're doing some really kind of crazy, innovative stuff there. If you go there, you're seeing the most sophisticated lab equipment you can imagine. GC mass spec and all that,
Yeah.
and they do some rapid aging projects, but also they do some really interesting stuff. So you can have a specific bourbon you like. I don't know, Buffalo Trace, whoever, they can, run that. They get the peaks on the mass spec, and then they know what creates those. So they can create something that's going to be a similar profile, but not the same. The other thing, so like the one we picked there, we tried the same bourbon with 5 different finishes.
Oh.
So we tasted it blind. So there was an unfinished version in there, and so they have these little reactor vessels. They're maybe like 1 liter stainless
Mhm.
steel. They put various staves in there. You know, let them, I don't know how long they let them run in there, but then you can try the different finishes. So then you find the one you like, then they can finish the entire barrel that way.
That's pretty
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it was really neat. And so the one we ended up picking was a Barton. Uh, it was either 8.5 or 9.5 years old. hazmat, something like 143 proof,
That's
146 proof.
I
It was
think
up
that's the
there.
one I heard about.
Yeah.
I'm
And
pretty
then
sure that's the one I heard about.
finished in a Riesling ice wine barrel.
Yep, that is
So
it.
it's got these really cool light kind of fruit notes to it.
I've gotta
I'm
get that.
really excited about that one to have it again
Yep.
and to get a bottle of that. Um, and pull my list up again. I
You
talked too
started off
long.
with some bangers right there. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm excited about that. Like, you're talking about how they do their finishing process. Like, the ability to do that and not have a commitment to doing the whole barrel up front,
Hmm.
and then you can decide how that works, that is awesome. And you like, the ability to, maybe adjust the amount of finish that you want to that product.
Hmm.
And I mean, like, it's really awesome how they're doing
Yeah.
that. That's impressive.
I think they may eventually get to the point where you can go and custom make your individual bottle. Um,
Awesome.
Really neat place. And so if you go there, they're in, I believe it's called Gray Line Station. It's an old bus
Mhm.
station there in Lexington.
Yeah.
Um, Go to their bar and they've got their normal lineup of products, but they also have all of these different one-off like experimental batches they've done. And even some rums and gins and things like that.
Wow.
And so you can go through and try all those different things, kind of find out something you like, and then kind of go from there. Um, let's see, next on the list, down in your neck of the woods, Casey Jones Distillery. Um, First time I had visited them, we ended up picking a rye whiskey there. Um, really like that one. Chicken Cock whiskey was another one we did. And that was one like I've had some chicken cock bourbons,
Mhm.
but I hadn't had much, if at all, of their own product. And so, they have their own mash bill contract distilled at Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Mhm.
And so honestly, I went into it with not the greatest expectations, and man, was I pleasantly surprised with their product.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that one. I will also say that they have done a very cool custom label that is the chicken cock label, but they've used the Bourbon on the Banks color scheme and actually have worked kind of the Bourbon on the Banks logo into the label on that bottle.
Nice.
Um, looks really neat there. Dark Arts Whiskey House out of Lexington.
Yeah.
Um, Run by Macaulay Minton.
Mhm.
Macaulay used to be the single barrel curator at Wilderness Trail until he went out on his own.
Right.
Um, some really neat stuff. I mean, I think he was a big hit at Kentucky Bourbon Festival.
Mhm.
Um, so just some straight bottlings, a lot of finishes, but I think Macaulay does a great job on the finishes. He,
Yeah.
he just doesn't overdo them, and the whiskey, can still shine through.
That's a
Um, so, so the interesting thing about this one, though, is he was still fairly new last year. Didn't have a DSP yet, and so he had to run through a local liquor store that helps us with out-of-state distilleries that are visiting.
Mhm.
And so they get to the festival Saturday, they open the cases, and the distributor sent the wrong bottles.
Oh gosh.
So I was down there to see Macaulay at his grand opening at his new location, and he said, "Hey, those bottles from last year are still at the distributor." And so I'm excited to finally get one of these. I don't recall the details on the bourbon from last year, but it is finished in a Tokai barrel.
Ooh.
And I don't know how many of the listeners have had a Tokai finished anything before. Um, I have never had anything finished in Tokai that I didn't love. The first thing I had was I think it was a Whistle Pig that was actually
Mhm.
MGP rye finished in Tokai.
I think mine
Um,
was a Penelope.
yep. And then there's also Glenmorangie Scotch. I think it was their
Oh yeah.
Tail of the Cake was finished in Tokai. I've had some other Tokai finished scotches. And so I'm not surprised we picked that one. We went
Mhm.
through and it was Tokai, and I was like, of course it is. Um, so really looking forward to that one. James E. Pepper. So that's another one out of Lexington. Um, Man, their stuff is really coming along. So their stuff is distilled there, and really enjoy their product. That's actually what I'm having right now is some of their decanter pour,
Nice.
which if you haven't had that, that's great and pretty easy to find. Um, But so yeah, really looking forward to that James Pepper.
Little secret
Um,
sip for me tonight. I can't tell anybody what
mhm,
it is.
yeah. Um, let's see. Jephthah Creed. So we ended up picking from their 4 grain bourbons.
Mm,
Um, and it's kind of neat when you go into a pick there, they pick profiles and they separate them out. They have kind of 3 distinct profiles, and
right.
they try to give you a barrel of each profile to try. Really like that one, and especially I think as the Bloody Butcher gives a unique note, this kind of floral, perfumey type note, and I think as it gets more age, it's really starting to shine. Um,
Do you
so
get a
really,
dusty note off of that Bloody Butcher corn? I
I would
know I
say,
do. It's always it feels like it's older than it's supposed to
mhm,
be. Like it could be 4 years old and it's tasting older.
yep,
I don't know where that
yeah,
dustiness comes from.
yeah. So I think it's some of the heirloom corns can have some kind of interesting notes, and I think those do change and evolve as they age in the barrel.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll take a little side note here. So Frankfurt Bourbon Society, for about 7 years now, we have been working with Whiskey Thief, um, to distill some proprietary mash bills for us. And so every year we come up with 2 mash bills. They distill it for us, and we get 2 barrels of each mash bill. We
Mm.
actually split half of each batch into a 2 char and then a 4 char, just
Oh,
kind of
nice.
experimenting with that.
Yeah.
And our oldest barrels out there will hit 7 years old in November. Um, but early on, we were kind of straightforward. And then we really, if anybody's familiar with Spirits of French Lick, their former distiller, Alan Bishop, he influenced me into kind of messing around with some heirloom grains.
Hmm.
And so we played a lot with heirloom grains, and we've done some, caramel malts, some weird yeast strains, and things like that.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed across the board is a lot of those heirloom corns, and we've tried multiple varieties. So like Ohio Blue or Blue Claridge, Kentucky Rainbow, Amanda Palmer, Wapsie Valley, Argentinian Orange, Minnesota 13. We've tried all these different heirloom
Everything.
corns, and a lot of them you'll have these. They're kind of they can be weird. Like I say, they can be perfumey, grassy,
Hmm.
safflower kind of notes.
Right.
But I do think as they age, they can turn into some really interesting kind of fruity and herbal flavors. So I think that's where that my little tangent. I think on the Bloody
It's
Butcher, that's
amazing
where some of
how
that's coming
how
from.
once it starts to mature and get some age on it, how it transforms from its
Hmm.
youthfulness. It's kind of like the progression of a human being.
Hmm.
We evolve as we get older, and just like the
Hmm.
whiskey does, it tells a story, and it's amazing how that
Yep.
story progresses with time.
Well, and I think a lot of people, if you try Jeff the Creed early on, you may have been turned off by some of those notes that were in it. And I think some of the people you talk to there will admit that. But now that they're getting stuff up there at 6, 7 years old and
Hmm.
older, those flavors are really developing and are coming out quite nicely. So
Yeah.
um, let me see, who else did we do? I should have set my phone so that it didn't go to sleep. Um, so LF Heritage Distilling Company in
Oh,
Georgetown,
yeah.
Kentucky. Um, Formerly they were Limestone
Yep.
Farms. Not surprising they had to change their name. The bourbon industry people are pretty protective of anything that sounds similar.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we actually just did the pick there maybe it's last week.
Hmm.
And I mean we tried, I don't know, we tried maybe 10 barrels or something like that.
They've got some good
Um,
stuff there.
they
God.
do. And so we even like, we kind of had some we liked. We even tried blending some of those together. And the one that was our favorite from the beginning, we couldn't blend it
Couldn't beat
to
it.
make it any better. Um, so yeah, really looking forward to that one. Then MB Roland.
Yep.
We were smart enough to do MB Roland and Casey Jones on the same trip, so we didn't have to
Smart.
drive back and
Yeah,
forth.
but a heck of a drive back and forth for
Yeah.
those.
Second time I've been to MB Roland, I've kind of always been a fan of theirs. We visited when we were down for the Eclipse back in 2017. It
Hmm.
was kind of busy on that visit, so it was nice to go when
Yeah.
things weren't so crazy. Um, we tried a ton of different mash bills there. We actually ended up picking a rye whiskey there.
Mm.
So kind of interesting that both of the distilleries down there we ended up getting a rye whiskey from. Um,
Let me touch on that for a second. So,
mhm,
whatever's going on in Southern Kentucky, we're putting out good, and I mean like exceptionally good rye whiskey. I
mhm.
think we have good bourbon, like it's like a 6, 7, maybe pushing into an 8. But our rye in Southern Kentucky, for whatever reason, is phenomenal. I don't
Mhm.
know if it's because we have like a little bit of hotter summers than Northern Kentucky does, and it's doing more magic in the barrel, but our rye down here is lights out.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm a rye fan,
Yeah.
anyways, and so I'm excited that we ended up picking a couple ryes.
Hmm.
Um, See, next would be Pursuit Spirits. I don't recall the details of the one we picked there, but really enjoyed it. It may have been a French oak finish on the one we picked, but don't hold me to that. But another
Anything
bottle
Julie
I
Ryan's doing is next level.
exactly like I've got this set out as one I'm gonna have a pour of tonight too. Pick this up there. I don't know, maybe last year or the year before, but yeah, they do really great stuff. Next would be short barrel bourbon. We picked the one we picked there is just kind of blew me away. I don't know if we can say what distillery it's from or not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Um, yeah, but we picked it over something that you wouldn't have thought we would have picked it over either. It did say on their sample bottles, where they were
Yeah,
from. Really unique. I actually went back to the sample. There was just I don't know if you ever listened to the Bourbon Road podcast, but they let them have a couple samples because they had helped pick some of these.
right.
And I think they did an episode, and there was maybe a half ounce left in the bottle. And I was like, I need to go back and try that. Sometimes on a barrel pick, you try a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
then, you know, went back and tried it, and I'm like, I'm still just blown away by it.
Yeah.
Just tons of like kind of dark fruits to it, um, but the slightest little kind of grassy note to it.
Mm.
Two of the samples were from the same distillery and were extremely different. Although they were, I think, distilled same day, and so
Wow.
that was kind of interesting. Um, and then last but not least, Whiskey Thief. They were one of the picks last year for the festival, and I won't lie, the pick last year from Whiskey Thief was probably my favorite bottle of the year that I had.
Wow.
It was, I think, 6 years, but like 134 proof or something. Uh, but still, like, even at that higher proof, it had, like, I think because it was only 6 years old, there was enough sweetness to kind of knock the
Hmm.
proof down a little bit. So it's still kind of light, tons of fruit. The one we picked out there this year, man, it is intense. It is dark. It's brooding.
Bourbon or
It's
rye? Because
it, it's a
something
it's
about
a
them.
what?
Why are they so good at picking ryes around there?
Uh-huh,
That
uh-huh.
place is
Yeah,
crazy. Did you
yeah.
try that hazmat? What is it, like the Mayfly rye or something like that? Jesus Christ, it was good.
This is actually last year's. I do have the new one too. This is
Oh,
what I'm gonna
Mayday.
have.
That's
Yeah,
what it's called. Mayday.
Mayday
Yeah.
Rye. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we picked a bourbon, but I'm serious. It is just it is it's gonna warm you up in the dead of winter, and
I
and
can.
and not from like alcohol heat, but like I said, it's just such a
It's got a hug.
robust, like it
Yeah.
does. It's really good. So I got to figure out how I'm gonna try and carry all these bottles back to the car this year.
I think I'm
Um,
gonna have to bring like a little pull out beach
yeah.
cart to take the stuff
Yeah.
back to the room.
So something that for those who haven't been before, and actually last year was the first time we did it. Our local Shriners, the Capital City Shrine Club,
Yeah.
so they volunteer to run a bottle check for us instead of like a coat check.
Yeah.
So as you grab bottles, instead of carrying them all at once, you get two, three, four, whatever. You
Mm.
go up there, you fill out the little tag. They put the tag on your bottles and put them in a empty case. box for you.
Hmm.
And then as you come back, you can put more and more bottles in it. At the end of the day, you come back, you give them your tag, you take your case or cases with you and carry them to your car. So,
And then give them a donation, and you didn't have to pack that. That
yep,
right there would be worth a lot of money to
yep,
me to not pack
yep,
stuff around. I hate packing stuff.
yep.
It's just
I mean,
so annoying to me.
even if you've got a backpack, you get 6 or 8 bottles in there, and
Yeah.
you're a pack mule, and so.
Pulling on your back, pulling on your neck,
Mhm,
it makes your day miserable. And then you're worried constantly that you're going to like have a misstep and clink and then
mhm,
bust two bottles. And then when
yep,
two bottles bust, four bottles bust from the
yep,
pressure. I've done it. It's
yeah,
embarrassing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So no, so
nobody
it's
wants.
great, and then you give them a tip. It's the Shriners. They're doing great
Yeah.
work. Um, so no, a lot of people really. We just need to make sure more people know about that. The people who
Yeah.
used it last year were pretty happy with it. So.
That is awesome. I can't wait for that part. Like, that's an exciting thing. Also,
Mhm.
heard that there is a popcorn vendor that is supposed to be some of the best popcorn anywhere around. I have seen like 6 or 7 videos from
Mhm.
last year. Every single person had to make a stop at this popcorn stand. I don't know what's special about it, but I've got to get some of it.
So I don't know about that. And so one thing is every year I always say I'm not going to volunteer for anything so I can actually enjoy the festival. But at some point somebody hands me a radio and I end up like doing stuff all day.
Yeah.
So I missed the popcorn. I'll have to look for that this year. I know another
I
one
gotta
that had
find it.
been very, very popular. There's a barbecue truck. I can't a community queue maybe that's here in Frankfurt, and they do a barbecue parfait. And so it's sort of layered. You
Hmm.
can pick what you want in it, which meat, if you want slaw, if you want baked beans,
Now we're
cheese,
talking fat
whatever.
boy stuff.
Yeah, and that was a big hit for everyone.
So we got a food
Um,
truck question. Tom asked, "What about the seafood food truck? Is that going to be there?
I don't
Do we
know.
know?"
So I don't really have much to do with the food. But yeah, it was a I want to say it was like a lobster truck. They had like maybe lobster rolls and things like that.
My wife
Um,
and I are going to fight over a lobster roll. We
yeah, and
love
so
lobster rolls.
I'm not sure if they're going to be this year or not. And then I don't know if we have that on our. Yeah, I don't see that listed
I'm a
on
lobster
the.
fanatic. I just love lobster. I'm actually flying
Mhm,
out to Las Vegas in December just to eat lobster. And people like, there's
mhm,
no sea anywhere close. But if
mhm.
people don't know, the Palms Casino flies 10,000 pounds of lobster to their casino once a week.
Hmm,
That's a lot of lobster.
yeah. So I'll tell you, if you ever find yourself out in Boston, gone out there a couple times for work, there's a place called James Hook and Company Seafood,
Hmm.
and it's a seafood market. And I mean, you go in like if it's bad weather, they literally have like one plastic table inside, but they have several picnic tables out in the parking lot. And you could get like a 2.5 pound lobster. It was
Mm,
like I don't know, $20 or something like that,
Jesus.
and they are the same place that's selling them to the restaurants, and then you're going to pay $70 for it that night. And so you just see people out on a picnic table in a parking lot, ripping lobsters apart. They also had great clam chowder and
Oh,
lobster rolls
I
too.
love
So
chowder.
yeah,
So
yeah.
good. We done ruined this stream. We started talking about food, and like I'm actually sort of performing in front of a live studio audience tonight. I've got
Hmm,
people on the other side here,
hmm,
and it's different. And we've got that Bourbon Dude family people here tonight. Once we finish the stream, I've got food prepared for everybody. We're doing cigars, food, and drinks. It's going to be a great time.
hmm.
I had some people wanted to get together, and I thought, yeah, let's do it. Why not? So that's
Yeah,
what we're doing.
I get easily distracted by food.
Oh yeah,
So
I can't stop myself. It's
mhm,
it's I'm a foodie. I travel down to Atlanta like once every like 3 or 4 weeks just to go to like their Asian area of like Buford Highway, and just it's just a mecca of food.
mhm.
But let's
I'm
open it up for some questions real quick, because I know some people probably have questions. We got
mhm,
35 of y'all in here. Let's take a second and see what you guys have to ask. I know we've just come off of another festival and we're moving into the next one. What's some of the stuff you guys are wanting to know that might uh, kind of dictate if you're going to be attending any of these? festivals. And let's see. Oh, palm. Oh, yes. Look at this. Look, we started it right here. Yeah. Make yeah, just eat your soul. It's so good. Just eat and eat and eat.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm gonna have to write down the Palms lobster buffet. Uh,
Yeah, it was only on one night, then they expanded it to 2 nights. It was
mhm,
59.99, and because of the popularity, it's now like 79.99, but still worth every penny of it. And they let you get 1 lobster each go plus 2 tails. So
mm,
that's fine. Like,
mhm.
load me up. All right. Question here. How long are the lines? So you guys limit the amount of people that can come in, so the lines are not going to be
Mhm.
near as bad as what we experienced at the other festival.
No, they're not. They're not too bad, and so we do have how we kind of split things up. The early entry, then the general admission, and then the twilight tickets. Um, we've got all the people up there. We can kind of scanning you through as long as people just kind of have their tickets ready to scan when they come in. It really moves along pretty quickly.
Yeah, I saw videos from people coming in last year, and the line, like when the doors open, they got in quick. It was pretty
Hmm.
quick.
Hmm.
Is there any like swag bag or anything when you come in, like a Glen or anything that they get? I didn't look. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I want it. It's not quite a Glen. It's the one if you've ever seen it. It doesn't really have the heavy bass.
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of like but it is the top part is shaped like a Glen.
Yeah,
It's
like
a
the
whiskey
snifter.
tasting glass. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I actually
Well,
prefer those. A lot
no,
of people think it's weird because like you can hold on to the bottom and warm your whiskey up, and then
mhm.
like it opens up in your glass a lot better that way.
I think I have something like it here. I probably have the actual bourbon on the banks one somewhere, but yeah, I've got the old pepper. It's similar to this,
Okay,
is what it looks like, something like that. Yeah, you get one of those. Now, we do tell you don't drop it because if you drop
right.
it, you're out of luck. But um, as long as not too many people drop them, if it does happen, we'll be nice and try to get you one. As long as we're not out of
Yeah.
them. So
Well, I think with everybody's excitement coming into this festival, and we've experienced some tough times this year going to some stuff. I know that I've been preaching this one more so than the other one to a lot of people, and
mhm,
we got a lot to live up to going into it. And I like if you guys that are watching, I'm not affiliated with them, but I just have a lot of friends that are involved with the festival, and I'm just so excited to be able to go this
mhm,
year. This is my first time, and I know that's many of you guys' first time going. So
mhm.
you guys share the same excitement, and be sure if you see me, please say hi. I have had so many messages so far this year. Hey, I saw you at so and so festival and I didn't want to bother you. Look busy. I'm not busy ever. I don't, if I'm talking to somebody, come up, put your hand on my shoulder, say hi. I am never too busy to talk to y'all. Okay. I'm there to hang out with y'all, socialize. That's what I'm there for. I don't give a crap if I buy one bottle. I don't care about any line. I might be getting a lobster roll though. We have rumors. We might be, if you bother me in the lobster roll line, we might fight about it. But come say hi to me. It'll be a great time. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Here we
yeah.
go.
Likewise, if anybody sees me, come up, say hi. Well, one thing I forgot to mention would be there's also the after party. So when the
Oh
festival ends on
yes.
Saturday, there's the Goodwood after party, and it will be in the area that you're going to come in through. It's actually the farmers market area.
Hmm.
So this year, so it's Goodwood, sponsored by Goodwood, and also Benson Valley Distillery, a newer distillery in Frankfurt. They're actually located at an old historic distilling site. It was 21 brands. It's where Ezra Brooks was distilled.
Right.
Um, but this year it's going to be Noah Thompson.
Hmm.
So Kentucky, he's from Kentucky. He won American Idol back in 2022. Um, I
Like
think that's
season
going to be
20.
a
Yeah.
yeah, going to be a really good show. It's free admission into that after. We've had people that aren't coming to the festival asking what time they can get there to save their seats for the concert. So
Yeah.
so
Free's
that should be a
good.
good one. Yeah. And then Creek Water will be opening for Noah Thompson. So, um, yeah, I see that. Yeah, you can bring bags in. And like I said, what I would recommend is carry them a little bit, go up. It's free. Give them a tip if you want to the
Mm,
Shriners and do that little bottle check. And then you can buy more bottles and
yeah,
don't have to carry them the whole day. So,
heck yeah. Yeah, I know that we've had some difficulties with backpacks at other
hmm
locations. That we
hmm
they didn't want us to have backpacks, and that just kind of made the whole day a little bit
hmm
miserable for
yeah,
everybody. And there wasn't enough lockers to go
yeah.
around. So with being able to have backpacks and then
hmm
water bottles available, then I know there's going to be food trucks and vendors there.
hmm
And is the food trucks inside of the festival, or do we have to leave
Yes.
the gates to go outside of?
No,
Okay,
they're inside the festival, and we kind of have most of them in one area.
good.
Another big thing that I would just say for people is, when you get there, it's not 80, 90 distilleries. Um, you're not going to try all of them because each
Right.
one they're also going to have multiple samples, multiple things to try. And then just remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Every
Patience.
year we maybe have a few people that we have to be like, listen, it's time for you to go. But yeah, because and there are police patrolling around the whole time, but it's never been much of a problem other than when somebody is obviously having issues. So,
Well, I'm
um,
going to keep my fingers crossed for this. I did look at the
mhm,
weather prior to the stream. We're looking
mhm,
at amazing weather, like
mhm,
77 to 80 degrees for the festival. I can't wait. I love the cooler
yeah,
weather. Give me a hoodie, give me a pair
mhm.
of shorts, and we're going to rock it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it was like 60 or
Oh,
65, really.
yes. I love it.
But yeah, 'cause it's still, even in the 70s, it can get a little bit warm in the sun,
Well,
and
I think the afternoons are supposed to be like 58.
yeah.
I can't wait for that.
Last year it wasn't that bad, but it was like every time somebody wanted to stop and talk to me, we are like right in the sun, and I'm like, "Do you people not know about shade? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Like
get it."
I'm fair complected. I burn easily.
Mhm.
A matter of fact, I actually got a sunburn waiting in line to get into the KBF, and I had to go home after the festival and put stuff on my neck. It was that bad.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I don't do the sun very well.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other questions? We got 37 of y'all in there. Somebody's got to have a question. It don't even have to be about the festival. You could ask me a question. You could ask him a question. What's our favorite bottles? What are we drinking? I can't tell you what's in this bottle, but I can drink something else and tell you about it. We still got about 15 minutes before we're going to wrap this thing up tonight. Anybody else have any questions? I know there's somebody got something going on. Oh, I didn't. You know what? Look at that. Look at that. They're going to the pumps too. I
Mhm.
don't know if I put that up there earlier, but heck yeah. It's something about Las Vegas and the buffets. And if you guys are not aware, let me just say this: tourism is down in Las Vegas. There's no waits, and they're doing some crazy deals right now trying to get people there. It's awesome. Oh, this is a question right here. Allocated bottle availability at the event. Yes, I have heard that is a yes. Can you confirm
Mhm.
that?
I really can't. I don't know what
Okay.
the distilleries are bringing other than, like I said, some of the single barrel picks. I did see also, I think, like, I know Larrikin, they're going to bring
Oh,
a special
yes.
bottle.
Yeah.
It's like,
145 proof
yeah,
single barrel. I think it was like 7 year. I
yeah,
want that.
yeah. I'm excited to try that one too. But yeah, other than that, I'm not sure what everybody's bringing.
Well, in my inner circle, people were saying yes. They're hearing
Hmm
that the distilleries are bringing allocated bottles for purchase,
hmm
but at this point, they don't know who is going to do it. Obviously, we'd all love to see Heaven Hill because they've been the ones that's been at the forefront of bringing
hmm
the hot bottles.
hmm
Uh,
And so I think part of it sometimes is that we're sort of a newer festival.
mhm.
Um, And so then how are we perceived by distilleries? And the thing is, last year, like I mentioned, was our fifth year. Um, we're not a local festival. So last year, 74% of our attendees were from out of state. And we actually had people from 38 states and four countries attend last year.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and so we have people come from all over, and really the locals don't
Yeah.
come very much. So yeah.
Well, out of curiosity, off the top of your head, do you know what 4 countries
Mhm.
they were?
I recall, I think maybe Germany. I know the person who was from the Netherlands,
Mhm.
Norbert Tabarts. He actually, we have some mutual friends, and he helps with a festival in Utrecht, Holland, that is called WTF. Whiskey Tasting Festival. So WTF.
Nice.
I enjoy that little play on that.
Heck
So he and
yeah.
his wife, she's actually from Texas, but he and his wife were there. I think there were some people from Germany. Um, yeah, I don't recall what the others were, but yeah. So as far as
Um,
Twilight, yeah, that's one thing you kind of just don't know. It's possible some of the single barrels could sell out, some will still be available. Um, Yeah. So it's kind of can be hit or miss there. I can't really give you a guarantee on that.
I think,
Now, one thing I'd like to add real quick is
yeah.
that where I think we can be a little different too, and something we've done for several years is at festivals, Kentucky distilleries they just sell, through their gift shop. They bring what they want, they take it back home with them. So out of state distilleries can't do that. Um, and so what we do is we partner with Capital Cellars, liquor store there in Frankfurt, and they work with the out of state distilleries and through the distributor get their bottles.
Mhm.
And then they will all be set up in the same area with sort of Capital Cellars in the middle. And so the distilleries will be around them. You can go taste the products. If you like it, you simply just slide down a little bit, go to Capital Cellars, and you can actually purchase those out of state bottles as well.
That's awesome. I was
Mhm.
talking to somebody, from a distillery, and they were saying that, uh, it was a Kentucky distillery. They were telling me that, they were putting in, like, their request for allocated bottles back from the distributor because they have to say, "Okay, we've got these events. We need this many bottles." They're not guaranteed how many bottles that they're going to get back from the distributor to be able to
Mhm.
bring to these events. A lot of people think that
Right.
they're just, like, bringing them straight from the distillery to the events.
Mhm.
That's not how it works. They've gotta
Mm-mm.
bottle them, send them to the distributor, and then request them
Yeah.
to be available for them to sell at these events,
Mhm.
and that doesn't guarantee it. And then
Mhm.
I've seen people make comments like, "Well, they should just hold some back from the gift shop." Well, from what I was told, if they're allocated for the gift shop, that's the only place they can be sold, and if they're allocated
Mhm.
for an event, that's the only place those can be sold as well, because they're operating, I guess, off of a different licensing or
Mhm.
something. Is that correct? I don't know if you know.
I think I think it has to do with the size of the distillery and your production. I think the smaller distilleries, they can sell in the gift shop without
Mhm.
going through a distributor. But
Yeah,
your larger distilleries, like Buffalo Trace, what they sell in their gift shop, they have to get from a distributor,
yeah.
which kind of ridiculous. You got to ship it from the distillery to a distributor and then back just to sell it in your gift
Right.
shop. So I think it has to do with the size of the distillery, and unless that's changed, that's how it was for a while.
Yeah, I think the only, stipulation on that was if it's an exclusive offering that will not be offered to the general public, it could be offered in the gift shop only,
Hmm.
but it can't be offered to anywhere else. I think that's the only option that they have, but, like, that really limits the availability of what can be, put out in marketing ways.
There was that fear a few years ago. Someone interpreted the law to say that it wasn't legal to do single barrel picks because anything that was made available had to be made available to everyone. And so then that was kind of weird for a
Yeah,
while. But then I think the legislature didn't take them long to kind of tweak that because single
yeah,
barrels are a big business
right.
for distilling in Kentucky.
Sounds like somebody was a little, into their feelings when they were reading that
Mhm.
one day. It was like, "Oh, I can make somebody upset."
Yeah.
Heck
A
yeah.
couple other places, so in Frankfurt, some really nice bourbon bars while you're in town. House of Commons, really neat. They have the most comfortable bar stools, which can be a
Oh,
problem. Like you don't want to leave there. Really great selection. They have a lot of Dusties also.
ooh,
You can get everything with like a half-ounce pour if you want. So it's a great place to go try a lot of different things.
yeah.
I know last year, I think it was Friday night, saw Brent Elliott in there. For a little bit. So I don't know if he'll be back in there this year or not. Um, right down, maybe a half block away, you got Hauser Tavern. So Hauser's interesting in that they have a little speakeasy in the back that is a membership only thing. And I think they're going to have their speakeasy open. If you just say you're doing the pub stroll, you can go back there and enjoy that.
That'd be cool.
I saw somebody mention Bourbon on Main. Bourbon on
Mhm.
Main's another great place to go get a couple drinks, good food. Um, you've got the Cooperage. You've got Dicey Riley's. Um, Mortimer Bibbs, kind of a really cool little Irish themed bar, but they do have some Irish whiskey, but they have a fairly nice bourbon selection. Usually they have a few of the Frankfurt Bourbon Society single barrels behind the bar there as well. Um,
I know that I'm excited for this event, and I think that this year is going to be like a lights out year for the festival, and it's really going to get the word out to everybody. And I've spoke to so many people that said they had no idea this festival was going on, and they were like, "I didn't go to anything else. I'm going to this one." Like
mhm,
this, it's more affordable, which is amazing. It's just a single day event, so it's easier for people to commit to it and come to it. Um, and then honestly, and this is what's crazy to me. So I was comparing prices of hotels, Bardstown's hotels versus Frankfurt hotel prices
mhm,
during the events. Not even close.
mhm,
Frankfurt's prices were way cheaper. Like it just seems like this festival is meant for people, and they're
mhm,
not price gouging people, and it's just to bring them in, share the experience, the bourbon, the culture. It's more about the people than it is about all
mhm,
the BS around it.
mhm. So I think a very important thing to share about Bourbon on the Banks Festival is that we are truly a charity driven festival. So I know a lot of things out there in this world are not for profit. We have one paid employee, and the rest of us are all volunteers. Um, and so we try to give back to the community. And we really focus on charities that focus more on families and
Mhm,
children and the underprivileged. You know, there's a women's shelter here that kind of fell in some hard times. They lost their building. They help women and children. It's called the Simon House, and they were our largest recipient last year, but we gave them like $20,000, I think.
wow.
Um, but so just know that every dollar you spend at the festival, it's going to a good cause.
Yeah,
Um, they're not. I did the overnight to go to Casey Jones and MB Roland. I paid for that hotel room myself. So it's really a good cause. The other thing, that whole Friday night Bourbon Street on Broadway festival, we actually pay for all that too, so that it's a free community event. But last year was our fifth year, and we gave away, I think, a little over $85,000 after the festival last year, and so we just hope we can keep growing that.
yeah,
The other thing we do is, if you haven't attended, if you have noticed this, but when you attend, you will get an email after the festival. So we send surveys to attendees, to the vendors, to the distilleries, and to our volunteers, and say, what did we do well and where can we improve? And we try to make the festival better every year.
that's
Um,
important.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
It just shows y'all's commitment to improving and your commitment to the community, and then
Hmm.
your commitment to like what's going on. Like you clearly you're passionate about the program and everything that's
Hmm.
going on, and you wouldn't be out of pocket going and doing these picks and
Hmm.
paying for all this stuff if you didn't believe in the mission that was going on. Like that's
Hmm.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
I mean, don't get me wrong, going on barrel picks is fun, and I
Yeah.
wish I could do it every day of my life. But yeah, no, it's a lot of work, but it's something that, my motivation, what keeps me serving this festival, is the difference that we can make in our community.
Mm,
Um, yeah, and I hope we can just continue to grow it.
yeah. Well, I hope tonight kind of put a spotlight on the event and shows people what it's really about. And it's not
Hmm.
about just collecting cash. It's about
Hmm.
bringing in money to be able to give out and help the community and help like the women's shelter, like you were talking about. I mean,
Hmm.
that's a huge thing to help. And that's
Hmm.
amazing. And you like 85,000 to give out. That's a lot
Mhm.
of money. And then I don't know if anybody else paid attention. Did anybody else pay attention to the number of times he said free events, free this? They
Mhm.
footed the bill for a lot of stuff for us to be able to come out and enjoy. So you guys go support them, show your support. Go there, man. I'm excited. Like, I'll just be
Mhm.
honest. I've been on the edge of my seat for the weeks now, knowing this event's like coming around the corner. I have cleared my schedule. I've changed my schedule numerous times. I found out that I needed to be there on a Thursday. I was like, screw it. I'm changing my schedule again. I was going to come in on Friday. Nope, coming now. I'm there on Wednesday now. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm coming in
Mhm.
early. The town's getting my money. But yeah, I'm super excited for this event. Before we close out tonight's live stream, does anybody else have any other questions that we can answer? Anybody else have any questions? We still have 37 of y'all in here. You guys are really doing it.
And also just maybe for some people who are coming and maybe you haven't been to Frankfurt before, Frankfurt is a really nice kind of home base to come early, visit some of the distilleries in the area. You're within 15 to 20 minutes of course, Buffalo Trace is right there, Jay Mattingly, Whiskey Thief. Benson Valley, as I mentioned, is new. It is literally across the river and then maybe a half mile from the festival. Um, Castle and Key, if that was the old Taylor distillery. If you've never been to Castle and Key, go there. You don't have to go on a tour. They have a bar. You can go up and get flights. You can get cocktails, go sit by the creek and enjoy those. Make sure you go in the gift shop. It's in the old boiler room. Beautiful place. Go see that. Right up the road from them is Glens Creek Distilling Company. You go back the other way, you've got Woodford Reserve, or you go to Lawrenceburg, so 20 minutes away, you've got Four Roses, Wild Turkey. Larrikin is right before you get to Wild Turkey on the left. If you
Mhm.
haven't gone there, go there. It is unlike any other distillery. So the owners, Greg and Katie Keeley, Greg is from Australia. Um, he has served our country as well. He was in the Australian Navy by an act of Congress, got transferred to the United States Navy. Um, they kind of themed it after more of like Australian wine bars or something. You don't
Yes,
see any oak when you go in there. It's neon lights and really quirky, like,
it's so
decorations and
cool.
stuff. But
And they've
great
got cigars in there,
cocktails.
guys. If you're cigar fans, they got
Mhm.
nice cigars.
Yep. A walk-in humidor.
Mhm.
I think they might be the only distillery with that, but great spirits there. Um, they've got their new line of gins and vodkas called Fat Wombat. Great name. But great cocktails too. That's a great place to visit. Yeah, just come to Frankfurt. Have a good time. If you're here looking for something to do, reach out to me. Find me on social media or something, and like send me a message, and I'll tell you where to go. But there's really a lot to do. Frankfurt has changed a lot in the last 15 years that I've lived here, and yeah, it's a great place to come visit, and plenty to do.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you hanging out with me
Hmm.
tonight and spreading the word about the festival.
Hmm.
I know we've got a lot of stuff that we've covered tonight, and so many people are going to see this tonight and then in the future because this video lives forever. As we all know, YouTube is forever. You just can't get rid of it. But we're going to close it out here. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.